Hello, I'm local Democracy Reporter Emma Draper, and I've been talking to Peel Commissioner Alan Jones about the potential for a housing association on the island. The government hopes this could solve the housing crisis, but Mr Jones says his concerns lie with people's community ties.
We personally haven't had direct dealings with any housing associations on the Isle of Man, but after the original Tolson report a number of years ago, Peel and the Western parishes commissioners got together and submitted a plan for us to manage all the government's houses and as well as Peel's houses in the West, and set up a committee to do that and relieve the department of it. They sat on it. We had 3 goes in total until the last business case we put in about 3 years ago, and again, we never had any formal response on it at all. Which is very disappointing, considering that it was one of the Tynwald objectives that had been put in after the Tolson report. So it's interesting to see that they're now looking at a housing association, which is to manage their houses.
And do you think that this would affect social housing for local authorities if this was introduced?
That depends on what they're doing. We've heard various things as that it's might just be for the government houses, the local government houses, or they might be trying to encourage or force commissioners to housing to be in under the one umbrella. But that we haven't been consulted properly on this at all as a stakeholder by the departments, although they say they will. But I hope it's meaningful if they do, rather just a presentation and give you 10 minutes to ask a couple of questions. But I certainly agree with the principle that the Department of Housing should get out of the management of their houses and start thinking of sort of blue sky thinking on how to gain access to housing for younger people and the less well off, which they should have been doing about 7 years ago. So I can see some merits in their thinking behind it.
One of the suggestions was that local authorities would come together in like a regional, rather than all the individual bodies that we've got now, housing would be done like regionally. Do you think that would work from your point of view as a commissioner?
Well, we'd have to look at the detail. Well, obviously the concerns that, and I've spoken to a couple of other people in other authorities we'd have, is what's the benefits for our tenants. We also employ staff. What effect would it have on them? Would they still be used, or would, so we want some certainty on things beforehand. As I say, I've not got a closed mind on it, but I'd like to see the detail and how they're doing it. And who actually owns maintaining if you like, certainly in Peel, we own about 250 properties. We don't have a large amount of deficit. So are we, is there some way that they ensure that if we own it, what influence we have on the disposition of them and things like that?
Would you think that housing associations might be the future for social housing on the island, or are you still a bit sceptical about it from like the Commissioner's point of view?
So I'm not sceptical. I'd just like to see what the detail is and how it's proposed to work. Make sure you're not just setting up an extra layer of bureaucracy that, as I say, the 2 main concerns that we would have would be for what's best for the tenants, to make sure they get a good deal and aren't going to be disadvantaged by it. And we also want to make sure that what's going to happen to the staff that we employ. Are they going to be used, or have they got other plans? So it's a bit up in the air at the moment until we actually get some details of exactly how they see it working.
That's all my questions, but if there's anything else you feel I've missed off or that you want to add on because you've missed it, please feel free to do so.
Yeah, just one other factor is to do with, when you have a list of people who need housing, is that to some extent I'm wary about the slight advantage at the moment with Peel managing its list, is that we keep our community together rather than moving people around to other parts of the island unnecessarily. Then if you had an all-island list, your sort of community ties might be weakened. So we'd need to look at that. That's another factor to be considered.
Thank you for making it to the end of the Little Manx Radio newscast. You are obviously someone with exquisite taste. May I politely suggest you might want to subscribe to this and a wide range of Manx Radio podcasts at your favourite podcast provider, so our best bits will magically appear on your smartphone. Thank you.